Hi, welcome to Heroes and Droids, your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney, and action. From Marvel to DC, Star Wars to Star Trek, from James Bond to the Fast and the Furious, we will review the theatrical films and streaming delights you care about most. This week we review Hamilton, which is debuting on Disney+. Of course, Hamilton is the runaway success play, first off Broadway, then on Broadway, and taking dollars from everyone. It's amazing. All right, I am your host, Doc Rodden, and joining me tonight is Christopher Slattery, the Slatman. How you doing, Chris?
Good. Just happy to be in the room where this podcast happens.
Oh, God, you win. Yes, golf clap. We'll get to this later, but you are a huge fan of this particular play and the music behind it, and are the driving force for us covering it here on Heroes and Droids. You would say that Alexander Hamilton is a hero, yes?
Yeah, in this story.
In this story,
Twitter seems to think otherwise, but
Twitter likes to troll. That Twitter. All right. Also joining us is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore. Christopher, hey! Oh, look, he's wearing a crown. Are you King George?
I'm the dollar store version of Jonathan Groff, or the great value version of Jonathan Groff.
Let's value more spittle. I love it.
Yes, and in the words of Jonathan Groff, I'm doing awesome. Wow. If you can walk like him and talk like him, I want to see that happen. Yes. Da, 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 da.
Oh yeah, do it. Come on.
No.
All right. Also joining tonight is podcasting rock star and international cosplay queen, Vanessa Thompson. Vanessa, how you doing?
Look around. We're talking about Hamilton.
Nice.
No, I had to get one in somehow.
You can always go. And I'm Peggy.
And I'm Peggy.
That kills me. All right, there's a. I don't even know why I should mention this, but there's a Weird Al Yankovic version of the intro that's telling you everything. But yes,
I wore my crown too.
You have now. Yeah. Tell me about this making you cry bit.
Oh, I can't imagine if you said it didn't make you cry, then you're probably lying, because
nice.
There's parts of this that are just, I was unconsolable.
Oh, man. Is that in the TV show movie of it, or was that like, did you see it live and do it there?
So I didn't see it live, but I did see a bootleg copy of the original cast.
You can't say that here.
Yeah.
All right, bootleg. All right.
Yeah, I did. I caught it of the original cast, and I cried through the whole thing then. And that was a shitty copy, and this is
nice.
So perfectly done. It's fantastic.
Well, I am so happy you guys are fans of this. I just knew of it. I had maybe heard a twinkle here, tinkle there. I didn't really know much about it, and was excited to watch it. Didn't really consider it for this podcast until the Slatman basically told me he would disown me if we didn't do it. But no, I'm kidding. But so I was really happy to do it, and I'm just going to start off saying it blew me away. I can't wait to share my thoughts, but that's what we do here first. We give our first thoughts. So let's do that. We'll skip all the rigmarole. We're going to presume that most people out there know what the heck Hamilton's about. It debuted on Disney Plus on. I don't have the date.
July 3rd.
July 3rd. Yes, just in time for Independence Day, and I did not make the connection until I was watching it. That's how far away from this I was. But I will say my favorite character is the one down below. That was amazing. So let's start off our first impressions, and we're going to go with the Slat Man. Whoa, where'd you go? There you are. Let's try this again. Slat Man, what'd you think? What was your first impression of Hamilton? How did they translate the play? Because I believe you're the only one in this group that actually saw it on stage, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I didn't even get to see it like in Broadway. I saw it when they did the traveling tour. They did a great job. Outside of a couple inconsistencies that you can find with the costumes, it's amazing. The audio is so well done. It's actually, I think, better than the cast recording that you can find on Spotify
Really?
and Apple Music.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And a lot of that just comes from there's a lot more emotion, I feel like, because they're on stage as opposed to in a studio. But it's an amazing musical. It's got great music. It's got a very compelling story. It's got some of the best meaning behind like the notes that are played, behind the words that are sung, behind the emotions that the actors put on their face. It's just the musical as itself is amazing, and Hamill film is just as great because we can finally see the original cast. It's great.
Hamill film, is that what they're calling it? That's amazing.
Yep.
Well, I'm so glad it translated well for those who have seen it. That's what I've heard in most cases. And you were talking about music theory on the pre-show. I want to get into that, but really to get into it as much as I would like to would probably be a podcast in and of itself. But don't forget to touch on that later. All right, Vanessa Thompson, you're up next. What was your first impression of Hamilton on Disney Plus?
Oh, I was overjoyed to see such a high quality presentation of this stage play, and I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know if it was going to be something new that they filmed or that it would be something from when it was first running. 2016. When I saw that, it kind of made me a little bit more emotional because that's when it was really happening, right? That's when everyone was feeling that Hamilton fever, and you got to kind of tap into that. Like Chris was saying, it sounded beautiful, beautiful. Every note that they hit, nothing was sharp, nothing was flat, nothing was popping. It was just so well done and so crisp and clear. And I love seeing that original cast. It's something about that cast that is so magical, the way that they perform together, and you really see it when you're watching this. And stage plays are long because they're telling a story differently, and it has different layers that they're exposing. And this doesn't, the way that Lin-Manuel Miranda has sculpted the music throughout carries you all the way through. You don't feel like these lagging moments, really. You're getting parts of important stories all the way through. And in Broadway, sometimes you don't get that. You just get like these throwaway songs to fill up time, and it's very annoying. There's so much passion in this story, in the people that they're talking about. I mean, I was touched to the core by Eliza Hamilton and her story, and Philippa Sue, who plays her, is just so phenomenal. You feel every single thing that she's laying out there on the stage, and it breaks your heart and it makes you want to sing at the same time. And that's kind of how Hamilton makes me feel. I have few plays and a few musicals that are really some of my favorite things, and this is definitely up there.
Yeah, this most people know me as loving horror or science fiction or superheroes, but I actually have a soft spot for musicals. I love musicals, and those close to me actually give me a hard time when they find out about how much I like musicals. When I even go to see them in the theater all by my lonesome. Well, anyway, enough about that. let's turn it over to King George himself, Christopher George Moore. Now, I don't even know, but we'll go with it. What is your first impression of Hamilton? Why are you smiling, sir?
No idea.
Wow.
Wow. That's all I could say. Awesome. Wow. That's my review. Maybe a little spittle when I do
Concise.
it. The little Groff sauce, as they call it.
Oh my gosh.
But I don't know. I had so many friends that were crazy about this musical, and I'd listened to a few of the songs, a few of the music on Apple Music. And I love the sort of hip hop influence that they created for it. And so I wasn't really sure what to think about it. I didn't know if it was going to be one of those things to where I'd heard so many good things about it that when I finally saw it, if I was going to enjoy it. I've seen plays on Broadway. I've seen Rent, and I've seen Avenue Q. I've saw Misery when it was on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
Music. Some of my favorite musicals are usually more horror oriented, but I did like the hip hop aspect of it as somebody that grew up listening to a lot of rap and hip hop back in the 80s. And so, yeah, I was really intrigued by this. And with it being, about American history and political stuff, that's such a dry subject to begin with, and to make a play surrounding it makes you wonder. But this play is amazing. This musical is amazing. It's how it can take historical elements, and regardless of them being able to play with some of those elements, and like most biopics or any historical subjects, people are going to have to, in order to make it more entertaining, sometimes they have to change a few things, but it's still a history lesson nonetheless. And also to make it to where it has a diverse cast, and it's put through a contemporary view on it as well. So there's a lot of, there's the historical aspect of it, but then they're speaking in rap and song. And then you have like the Jonathan Groff part, which is my favorite part of the whole play. Nice. And he does almost like a separate type of music, almost like I think they said it was almost like a Beatles tune in the midst of all these different sort of hip hop songs. But also the staging, production design is very important when you're creating any kind of play, because when you're dealing with live elements, sometimes you have to, you're recreating scenes, but sometimes you can't change all the background, so it's more interpretive. But just like the rotating stage, the design of their ability to move things around, the use of their version of like slow motion in parts, and the lighting and stuff. I mean, everything comes together to sort of like to be an entertaining musical from beginning to end. I think sometimes when you see certain plays or musical, there's certain things that might slow down, or certain things that might not be, you might not be into as much. But with this one, I was into it from beginning to end, to where it was like, even when it got to the intermission, I don't care about the intermission. I want to see what happens next. So yeah, I really loved it. And it had a lot of humor in it too, which I wasn't really expecting. I laughed out loud a lot in this. I mean, there's like, I think one of the first lines I laughed out was, there's a guy where he's trying to flirt with this, maybe it was Burr, but he was trying to flirt with a woman, and he's like, "I'm a trust fund baby. You can trust me." And just his delivery of that line. And then you had like Thomas Jefferson, who comes in, who's got like a Prince coat on. He's got this attitude, that's contemporary attitude that you'd probably see, people today, almost like a James Brown. And just, the different types of songs where they have like, and how the songs evolve throughout the play. The staging of like the duels. I mean, just everything. I think all the elements came together to create something that I can understand why it's been so successful, why it's won so many awards. I think it won like the Peabody or some big award. And the lyrical nature of everything, how they tell the story through, sometimes they're, fast rapping, to where I may have to go back and just put the words up so I can so I can understand some of the stuff they're saying. But I enjoyed the hell out of this musical, to where it's one of those things like sometimes you see something, it's like, I don't mind going back and seeing it again at some time. This one I wouldn't mind. I almost watched it again this past weekend. I think it's brilliant. It's really great, and all the performances are spot on. It really makes me sad, even though I probably didn't have the money at the time to go see it when it was still had the original cast. But I was in New York a few times during that, where I probably could have seen it. But this definitely makes me wonder if things open up enough and Broadway opens up, next year or whatever. I would love to go see it on the stage. But yeah, I think this is definitely a work of art, to where you have all these elements and you put a new spin on a musical and on historical context to create something that's just special in so many ways.
Yeah, I okay, so this is going to sound strange coming off at first, but it actually took me a while to get into this. The first couple of songs, I was like, okay, what's happening? But eventually, I'm serious. Old white guy, just what's going on here? But I really got into it, and I would say by the time the romances entered into the equation and the emotion of it, because at first it's the drive, right? It's Hamilton's drive, to get his shot, not to waste a shot, right? And then when the girls get involved, the sisters and the romance and the trials and the tribulations, and it really gets into the heart of this group of people, and they're wanting to make a lasting change, a legacy, and things that were important, especially for Hamilton, and the emphasis of him being an immigrant, which is America, right? It's perfect for America and perfect for this time. And it really says a lot in the way they've presented his material. And I'm not, that's not groundbreaking for me to say that, because that's what everybody else is saying, but just to realize that and to feel it and to hear it and to experience it really is, it's quite amazing. And I heard that the songs were catchy, and I was like, what, really? Oh my God, they are catchy. They're still ringing in my ears now. It's been a couple days, and this is a 3-hour play, right? But the way they integrate the songs and attach them to characters, and the way the songs themselves are like a well-written script for a movie, because Christopher, you and I, we talk about this on H&R a lot. It's like, a good script will introduce a concept, and that concept will need to come around toward, throughout the movie, and especially toward the end. And they do that for almost every single character, from Helpless to In the Room, in the room where it happens, which comes later, but it's the entire second act of it, to everything a part of it. It's quite amazing. And then visually it's stunning. I've seen some plays where, they slide, sets out and back, and they kind of change things up to give an appearance of a change of location. They don't do that here. It's basically the same walls and background, but I never once did I not get sucked into what was happening and the environment in which they were expressing, right? And that is an achievement in and of itself as well. I'm sure that's what you get when you go to see plays. I haven't seen many plays on Broadway. I haven't seen any plays on Broadway. I've seen a couple of local things, but the rotating floor was probably the thing that impressed me the most, when it was used to kind of show the world going around them in different ways. And then there's this one particular thing that I'm hoping I can say for my favorite scene that just stunned me. With one of the sisters and her songs, each of the characters really resonate on different levels. I mean, Aaron Burr does. He's basically narrating the entire play, and he's not the hero. Liza is Eliza, right? And her story is quite amazing, and the way they end up with her kind of coda at the end really get you. And I think that, Vanessa, that's what you were relating to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And toward the end, this is a powerhouse, and it's a punch, and it's everything everybody's been saying. And I'm actually really grateful that Disney Plus put this out. This was great, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can we say yes all together? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I kind of hope that they
Thank you.
put more of these type of musicals on film, because I think there's a lot of people. I think somebody on Twitter had said that there's a lot of people that can't be a rich New York person or whatever to go to a lot of these plays, and so to make
Rich
them
anywhere at
accessible.
the DPAC, it was ridiculous.
Oh well, yeah. Well, even when they travel and stuff,
You had to get like passes 2 years in advance just to be able to see Hamilton when it came through.
Yeah.
Like, that's inaccessible.
But I mean, to make it accessible to where I think there'll be a bigger love of plays and musical in general for theater. I mean, but I think that's one of the main assets of this play is how they take certain subjects that normally would be boring and make it interesting. I mean, to take a political meeting that you would be bore you to death on C-SPAN, and then they turn it into a rap battle, which I think is just brilliant. And I think that's the essence of this is being able to tell an element of history using a different method than you're used to, or a different type of music than you're used to. And I think it just blows my mind, just all the attention to detail from phrasing. I mean, I've always been a little bit jealous of rappers in general, good rappers, that is, that can spin a rhyme, and it's not a rhyme just where you have to find something to rhyme with, where it actually tells a story. And there's times where it's like really fast rhymes where it's telling stuff. It's like, wow, that's brilliant wordplay, and this musical has it throughout.
Mm-hmm. You're really hitting on something that touched me deeply, and that's the diversity in the cast and the people that are telling the story. Just like my country, I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and like that story, the story of just the real American dream, coming and looking for freedom and to be treated equally, and seeing people of different races, different colors, different backgrounds just up there telling that story with their voices and their faces. And it really, really resonates so deeply with me to see that on stage, to see like hot, sexy Black George Washington. Like, yes, I want to see that always, but it just means so much to see a man of such power and someone that we revered so much look like someone that we wouldn't normally see in that role. And to just carry that kind of weight and that respect. And it just really, I think that touches a lot of people, whether they recognize it or not. But me, it was just so evident from the beginning. When you see Aaron Burr come out on stage and start telling this story, you just feel it from that moment.
Yeah.
Well, and I think this hits me really closely, because with Lynn being from Puerto Rico, my brother, his girlfriend just had a kid, and so things like this make me look forward to seeing where this country goes, where there's more opportunities for people of color to be able to do things like this and to create things, because I want her to have a lot of the opportunities other people have automatically because of the color of their skin. So, and I think hopefully this opens up more opportunities to create more diverse casts for things, because it doesn't necessarily have to be what it's been done in the past.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a mic issue going on, Vanessa, if you can check that out. Chris, you were mentioning a little bit, Slatman, about the some of the music theory going on. We don't have a lot of time to get into it, but just give us a taste of what you were mentioning beforehand.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Yeah, under the gun.
Okay. So there's a lot of meaning behind a lot of the notes that are put in this musical, and it's not just, and it's like every note and every little chord progression, everything like that, it matters. One of the best examples that I can think of off the top of my head is the song where Eliza and her son are singing together, learning to count to 9 in French, I believe.
Yes.
And they and when they sing, every note they sing up through, I think, 6 is in unison. So it's the same note, just different pitches. But once they get to 7, 8, 9, Eliza's character actually goes down the scale that that Lin-Manuel Miranda is working with in this song, whereas the sun goes up, and that's supposed to symbolize that Eliza wants to go down to resolve back to the beginning of to the base of the chord, that it's that the note, that the scale, the whole the whole phrase ends on, because she wants to everything to be safe. She wants to resolve. She wants to go towards that happy place, that where we don't feel any tension. Whereas the sun goes up and ends on an abnormal note within the chord progression in the scale. So it signifies that he wants to be more adventurous. He wants to be more outspoken. He wants to be more like his father in that case. And this musical is littered with examples like that, using specific chord progressions to bring emotions, using specific chord progressions to signify things, like the like, for example, when the Battle of Yorktown and Hurricane both start with the same chord progression, the same exact chords, and they're both in the exact same key, but the difference is the top notes in each song signify a different portion of the hurricane that that Hamilton's experiencing in his life at the point when those songs happen.
Yeah, I love it. And the song that you were talking about with the Eliza and her son, also is a precursor to how the story is going to end up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
It's such a beautiful song. Such a beautiful moment.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot like that. Oh my God, there's power. It's amazing. It really is. And I feel silly not knowing how important and amazing this is up until now. So yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score, and this is going to be fun. Favorite scene, which is going to, could be, I guess we'll just call the scene. You can pick an entire song. I don't care. A spittle. I don't care. You can do it. Christopher G. Moore.
No, don't make the cat leave.
There's a cat. There's a cat. So Christopher G. Moore, you start us off. What is your final thoughts, your score, and favorite scene?
I'm glad I finally got to see this play, even if it's on Disney Plus, and I'm glad that Disney Plus is allowing people to see this. It might not have had the ability or even the money to, and evidently they've gotten a good number of subscribers because of this.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, so it worked out from them. But yeah, I thought this was a very powerful, a very entertaining. It's one of the most entertaining musicals I've seen ever. Not that I've seen a lot, but I think that the attention to detail, the passion behind it, telling a story in a different way with a more diverse cast than what you would normally cast in the roles, the non-traditional music that you would have for something that's based in a time period where you wouldn't have people rapping. I think just all those elements come together to create an amazing show that is entertaining from begin to end, that has so many songs that get stuck in your head, that has moments that make you laugh, moments that make you cry, moments that make you go, wow, that's cool. And you could really see that nobody in this performance, none of them were half-assing it. They were all giving it their all. And that's why you kind of feel the emotions when that happens. You feel that when they're bigger than life and they make you laugh. You feel all those elements. That normally, if you were to do something like fake slow motion or stuff, it could be cheesy, but it's all very powerful. So yeah, I love this. This is, it's one of the best musicals I've ever seen. So, and I'm glad that I finally got to see it. I'm kind of bummed that I didn't find some way, or maybe hawk a kidney so I could see it when it was on Broadway. But as for, well, I think it's obvious what is my favorite scene. And here's the thing, I was previously shocked when I found out that Jonathan Groff played Kristoff in Frozen. The only reason I knew him is because he was Manhunter. I was like, what? That the guy that's in Manhunter does the voice of Kristoff in Frozen? So not really knowing the cast other than, Lin that's in it. And when he came on stage, I was like, oh my God, it's the guy from Manhunter. And his performance, not that it, is as powerful as a lot of stuff in there, but he kind of steals the show as that character. And he's not even in it that much. He's almost like the Hannibal Lecter of the play, to where like he leaves an impact. Even the two, I think he has like 2 main songs in it. But his songs are just so funny how he's talking about things, and he's like threatening, but he's threatening in a way that's very cute, like da 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 da. It's like, I'll kill your family and your wives.
Yep. To show my love.
To show my love for you. It's like, what? And I was laughing, and some people have talked about the spittle thing, which the funny thing is evidently there's people that are into that, because I have a friend of mine, Tiffany Bailey, who said that she went to see him on Little Shop of Horrors and made sure she got front row just so she could see him spit. And I was like, did you bring a plastic bag with you? But
you just called somebody out live on. Okay.
Oh, she doesn't care. She goes to a lot of musical stuff. She also likes K-pop. So, but
double down on that. Okay.
She knows she's never gonna watch this. Or will she? No, but his first song, I think is cracks me up. That if I ever were to be in a musical again, which is not going to happen, that would be the part I would want.
There you go.
I love his part is just so, and it's so perfect, and because his song is so different than everything else. As for rating, I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. I can't give it anything less, because I've never really been this impacted. Because even musicals that I enjoy, I think the only other musical I would give 5 out of 5 would probably be Little Shop of Horrors, but I'm kind of biased because I was in the play as the dentist.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like those kind of scene stealing roles. But anyway, 5 out of 5. It's brilliant, and just go into it being entertained. Don't try to worry about like how historically accurate it is. Nothing is historically accurate. But I think it to me, it makes me more interested in history to want to find out more interesting elements of this, because I never knew that Alexander Hamilton was from the Caribbean. So I didn't know any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, see it. If you have Disney Plus, watch it. Even if you're not a big musical fan, I think you'll enjoy it for the entertainment value of how it's taking history and putting an entertaining spin on it.
Yes. Definitely. All right, Vanessa, you are up next. What is your final thoughts? Your score, favorite scene for Hamilton on Disney Plus?
Well, just to latch on to what Chris said, it's just kind of perfect. He really hit the nail on the head with this one, telling, the story of the birth of America and how we were scrappy and trying to survive. We were basically the new pirates of that time, fighting against, Britain. Although we may feel like we want to go back right now. You'll be back. He said we'd be back.
Oh,
220
No.
years.
Yeah, he waited. No, just kidding. It's just such a fun way to learn that story and to learn. I learned so much about Eliza Hamilton that I didn't know, and I'm so glad I do now. She was an amazing woman, and her story, or the story that Lin-Manuel Miranda told about her, just touched my heart so deeply. I'm almost more invested in her as the Hamilton of this play as opposed to Alexander Hamilton, because she's just such an awesome person. And it seems like we almost wouldn't know as much as we do about these great historical figures if it weren't for her and her sisters and them preserving this information. And I never would have known that before, really. I might have done more studying to find it out, but I never would have felt the attachment to it like I do now. Can I give us a 10? Can I get two 5s?
Go for it.
Because I would.
Double down on the 10.
Yes, this is my
That's
favorite
great.
thing that I've seen right now. And my one of my favorite scenes out of the entire thing, because the entire thing is my favorite scene, but it's a moment where the Hamiltons have been through so much pain and heartache, and they've just lost their son, and he's revealed that he's had an affair, and all these terrible things are coming down on Alexander and Eliza, and they're walking through the park in New York, and they're talking about forgiveness and learning to love each other again. And it's just such, I just cry uncontrollably during that song. It makes me well up right now just thinking about that, how powerful those emotions are. If you've ever felt anything like that, and to hear them tell that story between them is just so moving.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's the relationship he has with her, and and repairing that relationship, because they're all flawed characters, is the heart of the story. That really gives it the emotion, the heartbeat. All right, it is time for Slapman to give us his skinny. What is your final thoughts, your score, favorite scene for Hamilton playing on Disney Plus?
This is an amazing musical. This is an amazing adaptation of a musical. Well, adaptation's not the right word, because it's literally the musical, just medium that you can actually see it. It's great. There's a reason why it's so highly reviewed and so highly so many people talk about it so much. There's a reason why it's won so many Tonys and so many other awards. It's absolutely phenomenal. There's so much hidden meaning behind everything within this musical, from the lyrics that are said, from the way that things are said, from the music, from the actual notes that are sung, to why someone is speaking in a speed that they're speaking, or rapping in a way that they're rapping, or anything like that. It's so deep, and it's proven that, and this has really proven that Lin-Manuel Miranda he's an amazing composer, he's an amazing lyricist, and he's an amazing writer. There's a reason why Disney has asked him to work on so many things since Hamilton has come out. Shocking, I know. This is probably the best Broadway musical to come out this in the 2000s. Some of the heavy hitters from the 80s and earlier than that are probably a little bit more, I want to say, influential or important. this is probably like, if you're talking about the history of Broadway, this is going to be brought up in 15, 20 years as a major like point within the history as to why, as to how musicals have evolved and why musicals evolve and why it's so influential, so good. Then there's so many more things that we can talk about it, but we don't have time. I'm going to give it a 5. It's a 5 out of 5. It's a great recording. And my favorite scene is probably the entirety of the song Nonstop. It does so much musically, and it does so much from a storytelling perspective, and it brings back so many motifs and so many musical points and they all just kind of mesh perfectly together at the very end, like right before Hamilton says, "I'm not throwing away my shot." Like before the intermission, it's just that build up. It's just it's musically like perfection, or it's musical perfection. I love it.
Yes, I love how that, that's another thing, that my shot, right, throughout the entire thing. I love that. What can I say? This movie had a profound impact on me. The musical, it's really strong. The music is insanely catchy, witty, and intelligent. It's heartfelt. You can keep, just throw adjectives at it, right? And to say any more is just already saying what's been said. The stage play, the filming of the stage play also impressed me. So that's something unique to this particular experience. I've seen other stage plays filmed and presented, and I've enjoyed a lot of them, but this one used a lot more of different camera angles and close-ups. It was filmed live over a couple of different shows in I think the summer of 2016, and assembled in a way that the presentation and the way they edited together just really amplified what we were seeing, and I really appreciate the effort they did there. It really worked. It really sewed it all together. Pun. But but really what really blew me away was the moving floor. And I don't know, I'm sure it's not the first time it's ever been used, but the way it was used here was amazing. And I was just like, wow, I just was like in awe, and I was like, what? I didn't get to see this. This is oh no, I feel like Christopher G. Moore. He's like, oh, I wish I had the kidney to give up so I could go see this. But I'm going to give it a 5 as well. 5.
Whoa!
Sweep. A sweep, yes. And my favorite scene is going to be about it's the most impressive use of the floor, and and I think I hinted toward this, and you guys may have steered away from it because there's a part where it's not Eliza, it's her sister. What's her name? Angelica. Yes, she's singing, and there's a point where she realizes what she gave up, and she goes, "Stop, rewind." And they do this rewind bit, and that could be really corny, right? But it's jaw-dropping. It's amazing what they do, and they go back to an early part of the story, and they give her angle to it, and I was just like flabbergasted. It was like, this is better than a lot of cinema gets.
Yeah.
And it's on a stage play and presented in a stage play, and it's people are going backwards, the floor goes the other way. It's just like, what? And there's a lot of things that will stick out, but that's going to hit me the most. One thing I wanted to say before stopping, and I meant to say it earlier, was that I loved how flawed all the characters were. They weren't, nobody really was, maybe except for Eliza, right? Everybody else had their flaws. There was something human about them. It was so human. And, when you look at history like this through books, you don't get that human quality a lot, right? You don't feel what they were necessarily feeling. You just know what they did and what time they did it and the reasons why. You might get some motivation, but not this kind of motivation, which is the motivation of, your upbringing, to your desires, to, flawed emotions where you're jealous of somebody else doing something, or, you're tempted by things that that are going to do you harm, but you still do it. Or probably one of the most endearing qualities was George Washington's speeches with Hannibal, Alexander Hamilton, and I did it again. I did that last week, and they, where he's saying, don't be like me. Basically, I was young and wanted to do all this, and I'm going to send you home so you don't do that. And it has just this really interesting qualities. I'm going to shut up because it's a 5 across the board. I guess if you don't have Disney Plus, I guess we're kind of endorsing giving them $6 for a month.
At least one.
Right. Oh man, because I think they did they say 75 million subscriptions in the past couple of weeks?
Well, they cut off people's free
access,
7-day free access type thing, which is smart because a lot of people are just going to sign up just so they can watch this,
right?
Because they don't want to pay $800 or however much tickets are.
Yeah, or $6 just to watch it from. But yeah, I mean, that's almost. Yeah, that's a lot of money.
But I do want to say that the thing that you mentioned about the backwards scene.
Yeah,
I think that's how them shooting this as a film, how that's much could be a little bit more impactful than seeing it there, because it's more subjective. You're just watching people on the stage, but this one they can use the camera to make it more impactful, to make you feel that moment a whole lot more by going in more on her and stuff. And so that's where you can use cameras to create something that when you're in a theater, you're not going to be able to get that same reaction or that same feeling.
Yeah.
And fun fact about the circular stage, if you go back and watch it again, you'll notice that every time that they do something like that, where they go back in time to show something, it's rotating counterclockwise, and it's rotating clockwise, or maybe it's the other way around, or rotating clockwise when it's trying to show time is progressing.
Yeah, it hurts my brain.
To not only write all the songs, but to oh my god!
I wish I had that kind of forethought when I make movies. I don't think that far ahead.
He earned his millions. I'm telling you, an amazing, talented set of individuals creating this. Slapman, thank you for putting this on the docket. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now, if you can pay attention to the other things I've suggested.
Ouch!
What was that? I didn't quite.
Ouch! This list.
I want to see a hip hop musical about the issues between you two.
It won't be as good as Hamilton.
No, not at all.
Slatterman.
Not at all. All right, well there you go. That's our review for Hamilton playing on Disney Plus. Check it out. If you like this is our first for Heroes and Droids, this is our first foray into video, and Vanessa, I'm so glad you were able to join us for this. I hope you can make it back for the future ones as well. If you enjoy us doing the video, make sure you subscribe below, hit the little bell so you can get told, and leave some comments. Let us know what you think of this. For those listening on the podcast, it's still going to be a podcast, and we thank you very much for listening there. You can check out the video if you want, or you just keep listening. Up to you. It's still the same. People still the same.
You'll be back. You'll be back.
If you'd like to support Heroes and Droids, the easiest way to do it, the simple way to do it, and it doesn't cost anything, is to spread the word. Tell your friends, review on iTunes. Just share on social media. Let people know what you think of this and that you like it. We hope so. And if you like what we're doing here, maybe check out some of the other stuff that Gruesome Magazine has This is the non-horror sci-fi stuff. We certainly would never be doing Hamilton on H&R, that's for sure. But some days we could have gotten close. There were some weird ones that we did, but
Blade, the Iron Cross, Hamilton.
Yeah. There's a broad spectrum now. But Vanessa, thank you for coming and joining us. Thank you so much. Christopher, thank you. Slapman, thank you so much. And with that, let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.